have seen, think to yourself, I've seen tablets, I've seen computers, you've never seen a hybrid like this. And if you've heard about them and you're wondering like, why are people getting so amped up about it? We're gonna show you why. We're gonna have so much fun in the next hour with the 2018. So this is the newest. This isn't a lesser model. This is the 2018 Microsoft Surface Go. This has your Intel processor. Here's what's really key, everybody. Not only do you have that 128 gig SSD, you're also getting 8 gigs of RAM, which is the most memory we've ever offered in a Surface Big Deal before. You should also know that we have this available for you, including the keyboard. You read any reviews of the Surface Go in the marketplace and everybody says to maximize what it can do, you have to have the keyboard. It's usually a separate purchase. We're including it. To have the fun that you saw Brett Hamilton having, drawing all over his tablet, guess what? You have to have the Surface Pen. We include it as part of this big deal. We're also making sure that you have 1 full year all ready to go of Office 365. So now this tablet, right, where you're using for your movies and your streaming things and social media and your shopping, now you have word processing, Excel, PowerPoint, you can Skype, you can do OneNote, you have Outlook, you have all these things that you can do because this is a hybrid. Brett Hamilton is one of our great computer experts here, electronics experts.
Happy holidays.
Nice
Merry
to see
Christmas.
you.
Good to see you. Holiday hug.
Nice to see you. Hope you got a nap somewhere between
course.
the weekend and now, but I'm glad you're here with
Good.
me because listen, I am not a techie, right?
It's okay.
I admit it
It's okay.
all day long. It's very funny because my father went into the Navy in the 60s because he was a total computer nerd. And he was
from that, you grabbed
a
nothing.
data processor, a computer programmer. He knew about the possibilities of phones and being
That's pretty
tablets
cool.
before they ever even happened. I like to keep it simple. And so that's what we're going to do over the course of the next hour with you, Brett.
And we can.
While you're throwing out all of the specs and things,
Yep.
I'm going to be taking from a, and why? And
Yeah.
what does that mean? And
Dang
what
it.
can I do with it? So we're going to have fun with this over the next hour. And I hope that if you've been in the market for the Microsoft Surface Go, you stick around and really pay attention to the value that's here. I already told you the keyboard is always a separate purchase. The Surface Pen is always a separate purchase. But you want those things because they allow you to maximize the computer side and the tablet side and everything that this can do. So not only in this particular package are you getting more memory than we've ever offered with that 8 gigs of RAM, you're also getting that SSD drive.
Yes.
That's really important. That's a huge point of difference. There are other Surface Go's out there, just so that you know, that are more like 4 gigs of RAM and only 64 gigs in their hard drive. They're traditional hard drives, they're not this SSD. So this is, let me just say, top of the line when it comes to Surface Go. You're getting that Office 365 Personal, a year of that. Your Surface Signature cover, that's the most high-end cover that Microsoft makes. You're getting that here, not their basic one, but the upgraded one in colors. You're getting the Surface Pen, the software we give you. Family Cookbook Premium, how cool is that? Because you're going to want to use this for recipes and tutorials. You're getting Splash ID Pro so you can keep all your passwords in one place. You're getting the My Media, the Hello, Yoga International, Scribd, all of that. Those are just kind of fun things that we let you try. Did I say that? Scribed? Is it scribed or scribid?
I'm going to go with scribed. But scribed sounds
Let's
cooler.
me do what?
Let's do
I was
it.
thinking like you scribble with your pen. What is scribed?
Well, I'll tell you
Did
this.
all my credibility just go right out the window
No,
with that
listen,
comment?
pronounce it any way you want. Scribd, scribe. No, we've got stuff for keeping your IDs safe with all of your passwords,
Right.
ways to cook, yoga, all that good stuff. We'll get to that as the hour goes on. Ways to organize information in the cloud and also audiobooks. So that's kind of a combination of what
all right there.
all of that stuff is. Yeah.
But the real fun is where we're going to start right here.
Yep.
And we're going to start by, we kind of gave you an overview of what's going on. We'll get into it. Choose your colors here, by the way, and you're choosing the color for your keyboard, backlit keyboard, by the way. This is your burgundy. This is your blue. We call it a cobalt blue. And this is your platinum. And again, these are all Microsoft keyboards, Microsoft Surface Pen.
Yes.
So again, you're really getting the right accessories from the brand itself. But let's start with that Surface Pen because that's one of the coolest parts of this.
Yeah, and many of you see what you see down here and you go, well, it looks like an iPad with a keyboard. First of all, this is not an iPad. This is a Microsoft computer. And the term computer gets thrown around fairly loosely because people go, well, it kind of works like a computer. No, this is a fully functioning Windows 10 computer. And if you don't believe me, take a peek over my shoulder and I will prove to you guys, and you're going to hear me say this many times throughout the hour, that looks like a tablet.
Yeah.
When I touch that button, that's a computer. Whether you buy an HP computer, a Dell, an Acer, an Asus, Toshiba, Sony, everybody and their mother makes a computer. But you know who makes the brain in all of those computers? Microsoft. So Microsoft said, we're going to cut out the middleman. And we are going to make our own computer, but we're going to make it portable. We're going to make it easy to use because it feels like a tablet. And you know what? It does, because it's also a fully functioning touchscreen tablet. I hate to call this a tablet. It's the official tablet of the NFL or their sidelines and stuff like that, but it's a computer because that's what you see them doing with when they're on the sidelines and stuff. But what is this pen for? Well, what's the pen for? It's for whatever it is that you want to do with the pen. Now, let's take a best example when it comes to tax time. You get a document, and it's really easy to fill the document out for the most part because you type. And everybody's like, well, I get it. I can do that on my computer. But you can't do this on your computer. When you come down here and it's time to actually sign a document, you have to print it, then you've got to sign it, then you have to figure out how to scan it so that you can email it back to where it came from, or you can do this. And you could sign it and you can hit send. That's what the pen does. Listen, it does a lot of stuff. You can color and create and do all this really cool stuff, but the bottom line is, day in and day out, to no longer be afraid of media, because what right and left click did we do there? None. That's what scares everybody. Everybody, I don't care how tech savvy you are. You get a new computer, you're like, great, now I have to set this thing up. Well, there's still a quick introduction to set the process up and get it going, but the bottom line is, now the guesswork is gone. Look at that, it works like an eraser.
Cool.
I made a mistake. I dated it the 27th. It's not the 27th yet. It's the 26th. Isn't that cool?
Very cool.
That scratches the surface. So what are we using it for on a daily basis? Kids are going on a field trip, and I want to give Jill permission to go on the field trip.
Thank you.
And the principal sends
Where are we
this
going?
home via email. So I add Jill, and I sign, and we're on and gone.
Love it.
Now, beyond that, there's some fun stuff you can do inside here. And by the way, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so I look at that and I think, all right, so from a practical point of view, terrific.
Yep.
If you feel more comfortable writing out a to-do list, now you can write it out on your tablet. If you're a student, this is going to be something that's going to come in handy when you're, taking notes in class, right? When you're looking at your documents, when you're editing things for maybe a paper, maybe you're doing a group project, you can edit it right there on this tablet/computer hybrid. Your kids can now do some coloring. If you like to draw, if you like to doodle, if you're traveling with this and you want to play tic-tac-toe with the kids, or, Hangman or one of those games, whatever it might be, you can do that right on your tablet, because that's one of the things that the Surface Go allows you to do.
Yeah, and again, it's all a matter of what you're doing in your daily life, and this kind of washes over into Office, which we're going to give you a year of. Microsoft Office, we all know, is being able to create documents, and PowerPoint and spreadsheets, and all of a sudden you hit the button, you're like, Brett, I'm retired. I don't care about that anymore. That's why I retired. I wanted to get away from it. I will give you a perfect example of why you're going to want Office with a device like this. My mother-in-law, and I give this example every time I show you guys a Surface device, she volunteers in a nursing home, and she uses PowerPoint to create slideshows to show the people that live there, hey, here's what's going on in the activities for that day, and here's what's for dinner that night, and all that good stuff. Mother-in-law is in her 70s. I didn't teach her how to do PowerPoint. She opened up PowerPoint and she just started to play around.
Yeah.
You can't break this thing, right? You turn it on and you start to use it. But what I was going to say is, unlike the computer you're using right now, you've got a document. Well, the document is there, but what happens when you need to make a change? You can make the change right here, right on the screen. I didn't need that line. Well, wait a minute, I made a mistake. Yeah, I did need that line, and it goes away. So there's a lot of applications, there's a lot of possibilities, and it's really up to you guys to see what you do. So throughout the hour, we'll show you some other really cool stuff that you can do with the pen.
Can I say too that if you're looking at this and you have any questions, we're streaming our show live over on Facebook at QVC2. Go to that page, you'll see the video live stream of Brett and myself, and that's where you can ask your questions, and we'll try to go through and answer them as we go along. We showed you why that Surface Pen is so cool. That's usually an extra purchase. We've included it with our package. Remember, this is the 8 gigs, the most memory we've ever offered in a Surface Go. We're giving you the 128 gig SSD drive.
Solid state drive,
so
yep.
that's really important for you to understand, because the other models of Surface Go out there might only have 4 gigs of RAM and have only a 64 gig hard drive, and it's a traditional hard drive.
Yep.
So this really is the more premium version. We have the premium keypad. We are, kind of keyboard cover, right? That's backlit, which is so cool. It's magnetic, by the way, so it's really easy to attach and unattach. It has the kickstand in the back, which is another great feature. What about a tour for the actual tablet part of it itself, Brett? Can we do that real quick?
Yeah, so for those of you looking at this again, you see it and it looks like a tablet. And you know what? It feels like a tablet because it's based on the look of a tablet. It's got the footprint and the soul, so to speak, of a tablet. Yeah. But it's not. It's that computer that we've been talking about and I'm going to brag about for the next 46 minutes and 36 seconds.
I just pull.
That's okay.
Cool.
So let's start with that. How did I disconnect this keyboard and how long is it going to take me to reconnect it? Because usually Bluetooth keyboards, I'm going to stop right there. It's not a Bluetooth keyboard. Usually a Bluetooth keyboard requires you to connect it wirelessly. So you've got to charge the keyboard. This one you never charge. It powers itself from the actual tablet. You know how this magic happens? Magnets.
Cool.
So let's take a peek at this as part of our tour. There's magnets right there. I know you can barely see them, but there's a strip of magnets. Oh, that's awesome, guys. Thank you. There's a strip of magnets right there, and there is another strip of magnets that you can barely see, or actually the other side of it, the metal, lives right here. That's as easy as it's going to get when you connect a keyboard. So that's done. That part of it's finished. Another part of the tour is this coolness right here. You've got a kickstand that you can adjust to any angle you want, depending on what you're doing. You're being productive in your writing, or you're watching a movie, or you're somewhere in between, and there you go. So that's the hardware and the external part of it. So what's inside this beast? Well, nice and simple. You've got a headphone port. You've got what's called a USB-C, and I will explain that. That's going to replace the USBs, the thumb drives, that big bulky piece that you usually plug into your computer. This is the new version of that, and I'll explain how that's going to work in a little bit. And then down here is where you're going to plug in your power plug. And by the way, this is pretty cool. Check this out. So if you have kids and you have pets and you have a pricey piece of equipment like this, the last thing you want to do is have the dog run by, hit the power cord, and drop this thing, right? Take the whole thing with it. It's impossible. It's magnetic.
Great.
This is genius. I wish they had thought of this long ago, because I have destroyed many pieces of equipment just by being clumsy. But yeah, it's magnetic, and there's no way for somebody to drag it because it automatically comes apart. One last piece when it comes to connectivity, tough to see, but super cool. Right down here is a micro SD card slot. So it's not the size card that goes into a camera necessarily, although the micro SD cards now fit inside those camera cards. But there they go. That's a way to get information in and out. So you can transfer information. You could also add, as Jill pointed out to me, we were kind of talking before we went on the air, that's a really inexpensive way to expand that digital workspace, that digital garage, your hard drive. You get 128 gigs inside,
right?
But you can go buy memory cards now for next to nothing. So go buy another 128 or go buy a 256. And when you save something, don't save it to the tablet, save it to the card. Two cool reasons. One, it'll free up space inside here. And two, if you need to take that information someplace else,
you can
snap the card out, go over, pop it into Jill's computer, and I have access to all that information.
And correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
But isn't sometimes the knock against a solid state drive is that you have your 128,
but
and that's all you get?
Yeah,
right?
well.
So with some other
Yes.
brands and computers out there. So the fact that this gives you that ability with that micro SD card to take it further is special too, I would think.
It is, and believe it or not, solid state hard drive is a lot more expensive. That's why they tend to be smaller in capacity. But what's ironic about that is you can go buy a micro SD card for next to nothing. It's the same technology. It's super fast, and in a few seconds, hang on, I'm going to show you how fast it is and why that solid state hard drive makes a big difference. But yes, it's magnets instead of spinning. But yeah, in the end, you pay for, and that's why this is an investment. It is. Listen, I'm looking at the price too. I know what you guys are saying. Hey, this is not something. Yeah. But it does stuff that the computers that are out there that you walk into a retail store don't do. And you're going to see in a second exactly what I'm talking about with speed.
Well, and I think it's also important because I was kind of like, I was going around online, kind of checking things out, looking at our offers, seeing what's out there. You really have to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples because, again, there are lesser or smaller hard drive, smaller memory available in the Surface Go. You also have to buy the keyboard separately. And I think anyone, now that you've played with it, and even I've played with it a little bit, you have to have that keyboard cover.
Yeah,
that's what maximizes, and that's what creates that hybrid between this being a